Welcome back to the Gentleman's Gazette. Today we have another episode of a Q&A, Ask GG, and since it's wedding season, I thought it would be good if you can ask me anything about weddings, wedding attire, etiquette, rings, whatever comes to mind. But as always, please be specific, otherwise we'll have this huge pool of questions. It's very difficult to answer. And also on top of that, we actually put in a lot of work to create our morning dress guide. You may know we have this website, morningdressguide.com, and it was full of morning dress information, but I wrote it back in 2012. So over time I learned a lot more. We completely rewrote it, made it much better, took over 500 pictures, we sorted through them, selected over 200, then I went through my archive, which you can partially see back here, with all the fashion illustrations, and we selected over 100 of them, put them all in the guide, and created one big, massive morning dress guide PDF. I think it's 263 pages, and honestly, I don't think there's anything like that on morning dress out there. In case you're not familiar with morning wear or morning dress, it's a morning wear tailcoat, and it's what you, for example, see at royal weddings, at high society weddings, and it's what men used to wear when they wanted to be super dapper during the day. It's basically the equivalent of white tie for day wear, and you can still see it at Royal Ascot or at other big events, and it's certainly a niche topic, but if you're at all interested in it, or if you're maybe thinking about getting a special wedding outfit, this is definitely something you want to invest in. Because we put so much time into it, this is not going to be free. If you want to see what it's like, you can check out our black tie pocket guide, which is free on our website. And this is basically like it. It's just much more comprehensive, great layout, lots of valuable information. If you buy the Gentleman of Style ebook and the morning dress guide, we'll give you $25 off. And if you go over $250 in your purchase price, you get even the two books for just $25. So you can get the link to the morning dress guide up in the cards on the right. Simply click and you can see everything. But now it's time for a Q&A about wedding attire or anything else you want to ask me about weddings. Let's see here. Is it worth buying a tuxedo for my wedding? What alternatives are there? Actually, this video today is going to be the kickstart to a series about wedding videos. So there's a lot more to come, and if you're not super satisfied with all of my answers, just stay tuned for all of those videos. We already filmed them. They're currently being edited. It's just an entire series that's really just about weddings, focusing on the groom and what you need to know. So tuxedo is basically today a traditional garment to wear for a wedding. Originally, it was a garment that was worn in the evening after 6 p.m. Today, most weddings start way before 6 p.m., and grooms in the US still wear it. So technically, it's kind of a faux pas to wear a tuxedo with a black bow tie at 11 a.m. So now, it's all up to you, right? A wedding is your day, and if you're the groom, you can decide what you want to wear. If you're a guest, you should only wear a tuxedo if the invitation specifically states black tie or black tie optional, because that's not something most brides and groom will assume that their guests just wear. So if you're a guest, do not wear a tuxedo. And if you're not sure what to wear, simply reach out to the wedding couple just to clarify, because you never want to outshine them. Maybe they just wear a regular suit that day or a combination, or maybe they're even super informal and just wear shirts. So if you show up in a tuxedo, that's just bad. If it's your wedding, buying a tuxedo, I think, is a good idea if you have any use for it afterwards, right? So if you never have any black tie events to go to, it's kind of an expensive investment. In that case, maybe you want to invest in a three-piece suit, maybe in a dark one, maybe charcoal, that you can get more wear out of. Notch lapels on tuxedo jackets. Well, that's actually a question that I answered definitively in our black tie pocket guide, so you should definitely head over there and check that out. You can find it on our website. What should the color of the tie be in the wedding? If you're the groom, traditionally, you would wear a silver and black tie. Usually they had fine patterns or stripes, but it's just has a very formal and elegant character, and it's very unique for a wedding. For a selection of those traditional wedding ties, you can actually check out our shop. We have a range of them there, and it's something that I always particularly paid attention to because it's very hard to find those ties. But back in the day, if you go through old pictures and photos, that's what you saw. Now, if you're the groom again, you can add more color to it. Red is always a popular color. People sometimes go with pastel tones, which I think are only good if you have a low contrast kind of skin to hair overall look. If you have a strong contrast, I think you can go with stronger colors. And oftentimes there's kind of a wedding theme, so talk about that with the bride of what you want to achieve. But I'd stay clear from like pink ties or like bright green ties or anything like over the top. But a slight like pattern like the one I'm wearing here right now, for example, that can work really well. Otherwise, maybe a stripe. Personally, I wore a striped black and silk wedding tie on my wedding during the day. Can I wear colorful socks to a wedding as a guest? Again, this is not your time to shine, so I suggest you tone it down and you're simply there to support the bride and groom. It's not about your style, it's about them. And having flashy socks maybe draws the attention away from them to your socks, and that's not the purpose, so I'd skip them. Is it ever proper to wear white as the groom? You know, in different cultures, men wear different things. And if the bride and you are comfortable doing so, why not, right? I mean, it's your thing. Traditionally, it's not something that has happened in the Western Hemisphere. But after all, the white wedding dress, hasn't always been around. And if you go to China, for example, they oftentimes like to get married in red. So if you're maybe in a warmer climate where black, would just overheat or make you hot, maybe white or off-white could be an option to think about. Generally, no, not traditional. Notice the striped gray baggy pants and black jacket with long black. What's the proper name during? Well, yes, striped gray pants. They're also sometimes called cashmere stripe pants because they used to have some amount of cashmere, but they're even called that way today, even though they may not have any cashmere in them. But very similar to the ties, it's a special kind of pants between black and gray that oftentimes has a little pattern, maybe a herringbone pattern, maybe just different stripes and different widths. But it's traditionally worn with a morning coat, and we explain a lot more about that in our morning dress guide, which you can find by clicking the card in the top right. You can also wear with a stroller suit, which is just a kind of a regular suit jacket with peak lapels, 1 or 2 buttons, and it just gives the whole outfit a formal character, but it breaks it more up than a suit would. So I personally like it a lot, especially for weddings, because it just is unique, but not totally out there. Can I wear loafers if I'm a wedding guest? I'd say it depends on the kind of loafers, right? If you're trying to wear like red suede loafers, then I would say nope, stay clear of that. If you wear a dark leather loafer, maybe a penny loafer, I think that would be appropriate for most weddings today, at least in the US, because the formality standard has certainly slipped, and having a nice pair of loafers is better than an ugly pair of black, boxy toe, rubber-soled dress shoes that most people think they are, which in fact they're not. So overall, I think it depends a little bit on the event. If your dress code reads black tie optional, a loafer is not the right shoe. But you can learn what you should wear in those situations in our black tie pocket guide. What is your opinion on double-breasted jackets as a wedding guest? Now, traditionally or historically, double-breasted was always a notch more formal than a single-breasted jacket. For that reason, they always had peak lapels. So you would never find a double-breasted coat with notched lapels. And even today, you don't find it. Now, especially in Italy, people like Lino from Albazar have popularized that notion of having a casual double-breasted jacket. However, if you wear a dark suit, for example, or a blazer combination, you can wear double-breasted. It's actually more formal, it's more suited to the event of a wedding, and so the answer is yes, you can absolutely wear it. I just better make sure, with a blazer, don't have gold contrasting buttons, but for a charcoal suit, for example, awesome, right? Maybe stay clear of, the boldly patterned linen double-breasted sport coat with patch pockets. Keep it more formal, have either jetted pockets or flat pockets. As a wedding guest, are simple pattern shirts okay to wear or stick with solids? Honestly, I think you can wear a subtle pattern. If it's a faint stripe or like the shirt I'm wearing here right now, it may look all solid white to you, but it's actually a faint white on white stripe. It's more like woven into the pattern. So something like that you can definitely wear. I'd stay away from bold orange and white stripes, but a fine subtle pattern can work. Think about maybe going with a Winchester shirt, which means that the collar is white. That way, it gives it a very kind of formal, dapper look that doesn't draw away the attention from the wedding couple. Is there a rule for gentlemen to dress conservatively so to not outdo the groom? As I said, especially today, grooms can wear whatever they want, and especially in the US, traditions are not really a good guideline anymore. And I've gotten quite a few wedding invitations where no dress code was stipulated. So I mean, first of all, I know the couple, so I kind of know are they outdoorsy people who don't care about clothes. So chances are they're probably not going to wear a black tie at their wedding. However, since it's a wedding, they will probably always try to do something special. So the best way is really to communicate with them and figure out what are they wearing, and then you just take it a notch down. If you are just a good dresser and the groom is not, I'd say, just keep it simple in terms of your colors. Keep it muted, keep it dark, nothing flashy. And if someone compliments you, that's great. But the majority of people will likely, not perceive you as being like the peacock with his top hat in the crowd of poorly dressed people. So no hard rules, it's more common sense. What do you think about white tie? When should you wear it and when not to? Well, white tie is the most formal evening ensemble a man or a groom can wear. So there are not many occasions anymore these days. And for example, for my wedding day, I'm a clothes horse. I was like, I want to wear white tie because that's traditionally what, men wore. And it's just one of those garments that's very different than a suit. It has tailcoats and it just makes you look very, very different in a great way. So I wanted to wear that. And so I knew that other people, never probably heard of a white tie ensemble. So putting that on a wedding invitation would make people uncomfortable because then they have to kind of, either rent something, which is bad, or buy something, which is super expensive. So I just wore it myself as the groom. And as the groom, you can always be a notch above all others because, you're the special person that day. So as a guest, I would not wear it unless the dress code stipulates white tie. And I don't even think the royal weddings these days stipulate that dress code. I mean, I can't tell from first-hand experience because I've never been invited to one, but overall, it's the highest thing. So as a groom, okay, otherwise do not wear it to a wedding. Can I wear unorthodox clothing at my wedding, like all black or no tie, shirt unbuttoned? Well, you can do it because it's your wedding, right? The question is, do you want to be perceived as well-dressed, or do you care about classic clothing at all? Traditionally, like an all-black outfit was not something that men wore for a wedding. They wouldn't even wear it for a funeral. They would still wear like a white shirt because that was the standard of the day. And most grooms that I've encountered, they sometimes they don't know really what they want, but a few years back, when they look at the pictures, they regret if they didn't put the best foot forward. So I would say, think about it. Think about what makes you comfortable. But overall, what would you think in 10, 20 years from now, or would your kids say, hey, Dad, why did you look so sloppy in your wedding pictures? Just something to keep in mind. What about wearing seersucker in a warmer climate for a wedding? I think it's great. In the southern U.S., it's more traditional in the sense that you see it more often. Oftentimes, like the wedding party, all the groomsmen wear seersucker. Sometimes, just a blazer with chinos, or even I've seen like Nantucket reds. Sometimes an entire suit. It's definitely different, but it's appropriate for the surroundings. And so, as a guest, I would only wear it if I know that it's acceptable. So I'd reach out to the hosts just to figure out if it's okay. Because a seersucker suit, definitely stands out. If you're in Europe, seersucker is much more unusual, and people may not, know what it is. But since it's a lighter color, it definitely stands out more. So do it with caution and communicate. Can you wear a blazer instead of a suit to a wedding? As I said, many weddings have become quite informal, and sometimes you see people even showing up in denim and tennis shoes, which is terrible, by the way, and you should never do that because it's disrespectful in a way if someone has planned so much and put so much effort into it. Unless, of course, that's what the bride and groom wear and that's what they want you to wear. Then you just have to swallow your bride, even if you only wear suits normally, and go with what they ask you to wear. With a blazer and a combination with chinos, I think can be perfectly fine for a wedding, especially if it's a garden party wedding, or the bride and groom are not, they maybe just wear a regular suit. If they wear a tuxedo, and stuff, maybe a three-piece suit would be a better choice. But otherwise, a blazer can work for sure. What do you do if you wear a signet ring on your left pinky and then also want to wear a wedding band ring? Personally, I think having those rings right next to each other in your left hand looks awkward because it's not proportional. Especially if you don't have anything on your right hand. Maybe consider switching your pinky ring or your signet ring to your right hand, because even if you have a signet ring on your ring finger, don't wear it with your wedding band. The wedding band is on its own, and there should be no other ring on the finger or close to it. Just curious to know if you personally like opera pumps and if you own a pair or several. If you follow out our pictures, if you checked out our black tie guide, you'll see some of my opera pumps, or called court shoes. One of the things that most people get wrong is that they think any kind of loafer type that is patent leather or black with a bow on it is a court shoe or opera pumps. These two words can be used interchangeably, but they're also slippers. So an opera pump is defined by its deep cutout. And please check out our black tie pocket guide. I explain it there visually so you can see it. But the difference is basically with a court shoe, you can see a fair amount of socks. A slipper, on the other hand, is more like a shoe in the sense that the tongue reaches up further and you cannot see the socks. That's the wrong kind of shoe for evening wear. You don't want a slipper, you want a pair of opera pumps. Some men feel uncomfortable in them because they feel they're somewhat effeminate, but they're still, worn by royalty at court, of course. But once you wear them, they're very easy to put on, and I think they just add a different look to your entire black tie outfit. So if you wear black tie a lot, just switching up, between Oxfords and opera pumps, it's just a good way to create a different look. So I like them. What about wedding gifts? How far should you go without showing off? Good question. So wedding gifts are hugely dependent on the culture you're in. If you're in Spain, for example, people expect you to pay for an expensive dinner, and then you have to shell out 200 to 300 euros probably. In Germany, where I'm from, it's very common that people try to put their best foot forward, and even if they're usually, more frugal people, they try to make you a substantial gift, because it's for the wedding couple. They're just starting their life together, and so they just, go all out. And yes, if you make a gift, that's very ostentatious, that can become as showing off, but I doubt any wedding couple will ever be disappointed about getting too much cash. They spend a lot of money on the wedding, and they probably want to go on their honeymoon or just buy some furnishings. So if you really like them and you want to give them a big gift, like cash is always welcome. What you should avoid is appearing too, cheesy in a way. If you if you just give someone like $20 as a wedding gift, I almost find that insulting. So if you're on a tight budget, maybe create a gift that they like. If it's maybe something from the registry, or maybe you can use your time. Maybe you can, create a nice poem for them, or write a song for them. Or something that's very popular in Germany, actually, is that, you create a kind of wedding magazine. So you take maybe the cover of Time magazine, put a picture of the wedding couple there, and you create a printed magazine that it's about, the story of both the bride and the groom, which is great for the guests because, chances are they only know one side of the party, so they can learn more about the other side, how they got to know each other. And then you can sell this magazine at the wedding. That way, you really help the wedding couple. You create something awesome and unique that nobody else can, and you can do that on a very low budget. So there's something for everybody. Is it appropriate to wear a pocket square in a wedding? Absolutely. Like, a pocket square is just one of those things that can elevate your outfit in a moment, right? And so if it's your wedding day, I think it's a must. If you're in the wedding party, if you're in a wedding party and your groom doesn't wear one, you shouldn't wear one, right? You have to do what they want, basically. But even as a guest, if you wear like a white shirt and have this white pocket square, I think looks great. Very dapper, very elegant, very suited to weddings. Is it appropriate to dress in the same formal level as the groom? Traditionally, that was the rule. Yes, if you go back and you look at pictures and you see, that the groom, groomsmen, they were all wearing a white tie or all wearing black tie. That's okay. You can do that. But I would communicate with the groom first, because oftentimes, they want something special. For example, I've seen where all the groomsmen, everyone wears a tuxedo. They're pretty much all the same. But then the groom wears a red boutonniere and the others wear a white one, for example. So communicate. That's the best advice here. I'm wearing a stroller for my wedding, then changing into a tuxedo for a reception at night. My groomsmen will not be changing, though, and will have to rent their outfit. Should they wear tuxedos despite a daytime wedding, or just a gray three-piece suit? The dress code is black tie optional. Very good question. At my wedding, I changed too. I went from morning coat to tailcoat, white tie. What you do is the same appropriate level. You wear a stroller suit during the day, and then a tuxedo. That's great. It's fantastic. My advice for you would be, when does your wedding start, right? When is the majority happening of your wedding? If you're starting out at 11 a.m. and then, there's an event, and then later on in the evening you switch to black tie, I think having a dark three-piece suit is the best way to go for your groomsmen. Because, your dress code is black tie optional, so they can still wear that. Maybe they can just wear a tie during the day and switch to a black bow tie in the evening. That gives them a different look, but they don't really have to change. Like, they can do that quickly. And if they don't know how to tie a bow tie, check out our video, teach them. It's very doable. That way, I think you get the best of both worlds. If, let's say, your event, starts at 4 p.m. and you just want to wear the stroller because you want to wear it, you can have them just get a tuxedo right away. Because the majority of the event is going to be in the evening. I hope that answers the question. Are lapel pins or flowers too flashy as a wedding guest? Tough one. I think, especially today, not so many men wear boutonnieres anymore. And it's oftentimes a way to distinguish the groom in the wedding party. So you don't want to appear like, you want to be part of that or want to be mistaken as one of the groomsmen or the wedding party. So as a guest, I'd stay clear of it. Unless, of course, that they want you to wear it, or they've expressed that, hey, anyone can wear a boutonniere, we welcome that. Then it's totally fine. But when in doubt, I would not wear it, especially as a guest. All right, in case you haven't heard about it yet, we created our morning dress guide, which is about morning wear and what, some people may want to wear very rarely, but if you want to wear it, you want to get it right. And so we created this guide, which is all about history, do's and don'ts, all the details. And you can check it out by clicking the card in the top right. What kind of hat would you recommend for a wedding if you're just an invited guest? If you wear a morning coat, for some reason, very unusual, wear a top hat. Otherwise, never wear a top hat. If the wedding is like a black tie, I'd say wear like a Homburg hat. It's just a good alternative. If you will be the only one wearing a hat, it's okay to wear a hat as a guest. Take it off when you're like in the buildings, inside, in church, all of those things. But I'd stick with a dark hat, not something, brown with a flashy band, just something dark, like charcoal, black, something that's not too flashy, because with a hat you already stand out a little more, and you just don't want to be the center of attention. What accessories should I wear as a guest and as a groom? Well, let's start with the groom. I think as a groom, you should always have a double cuff shirt for cufflinks. That's just more appropriate. Of course, if you wear a white tie, you can wear a single cuff shirt, but also with cufflinks. But cufflinks are a must. Then as a groom, I also think you should have a pocket square and a boutonniere, because it's your wedding day, and boutonnieres are so often associated with weddings that it would be bad not to have one. Then, personally, I'm not a big fan of wristwatches, but some people are, so you can wear that. Since you have already quite a few accessories going, like, the boutonniere and a pocket square, try to don't also have, a tie clip and a collar bar. It just gets too much, right? You don't want to be an overloaded Christmas tree. You want to be stylish and well-dressed. So if you want to wear a pocket watch, instead of a wristwatch, definitely a cool item that makes the look a little more unique and vintage. Otherwise, for your shoes, for example, if you have Oxfords and it's an evening wedding, you can go with maybe, an evening shoelace that is wider, that matches your bow tie, for example. In terms of socks, I suggest, go with over-the-calf socks so no one sees your hairy legs. But as the groom, if you want to go with a little more color, it's okay. Probably toning it down is better overall choice. Again, it's up to you. Then I would wear some form of neckwear as the groom, whether it be a tie or a bow tie. The choice is up to you. You can play with colors. It's your day. If you want to wear a hat, I think it can be difficult. I had a top hat because I had the morning coat and even it's like an accessory. It's great for pictures. It makes everything look different, and you can always take it off and someone else can hold it, so you get pictures with both things. Those are basically the things I'd consider for accessories. For the guest, I think, it's very similar, except, don't wear the boutonniere, wear the pocket square. Maybe you can go with a tie clip, but don't try to do like the tie clip, the vest, or the collar clip. Like, keep it simple. Stay away from like crazy socks, because they're just too eye-catching, and it's not about you. It's about them. So someone mentioned hats. You can do so, but again, keep it in dark colors as to not outshine and outdo the groom. Cufflinks are always good also as a guest. Try to go with some more simple patterns, Don't get out the shiny, sparkly diamond set. That's just too much. Okay. I think we're coming close on a 30-minute mark here, and we want to keep it there because then it's like, in-depth enough that I can answer a few questions, but also not too long, so people have to kind of click through the video afterwards and find everything. So thanks for joining our live Q&A. In the future, we'll try to do it more regularly, but we're currently actually bought a new house because we're expecting a child. So we'll be moving and stuff. We'll have more space and we'll have a more regular schedule. So give us a little bit of time and everything will be much smoother, more regular and more predictable. So you always know when we come online so you don't miss us. In the meantime, it's a little more off the cuff. So thanks for understanding and make sure to check out our morning dress guide and especially the free black tie pocket guide on our website. So I hope it's very helpful to you. If you have any feedback, let us know. We're always open to that. Use our contact form on the website. And cheers. See you around. Thanks.